This is my custom built TrueNAS server, and today I will be installing this M.2 cooler in here. Since my M.2 doesn't have a cooler yet, but that's not going to be the entire video because my video will be 2 minutes long. I will also be showing you around my custom TrueNAS build, showing you what parts I've used, why I used them, because some of these parts will be a little bit out of the ordinary, let's say. First thing I'll do is remove the side panel. As you can see, I've already installed everything in here. For the motherboard, I've gone with the Gigabyte B550M. It's a really budget motherboard, especially good for price to performance. I really want a budget build, since all the pre-builds out there are just too expensive for me. So I found this motherboard, which is a really great budget motherboard. It's also an AMD motherboard, which was my first AMD build. For my CPU, I then of course chose a AMD Ryzen 5 3600. Again, really budget, but it performs really great, especially for a NAS server. What's also really great about this is that it has a stock cooler inside, so I didn't need to buy any excessive coolers, it just came with one, which was really great. For RAM, I went with DDR4 RAM, two 8GB sticks rated at 3200 MHz. Again, really budget because there were two different options that I could buy of the same RAMs, one with and without RGB. And the one with RGB was 20 euros more expensive. So of course I went with the no RGB one, because again it's a budget build and the side panel is always on, so I'm not gonna see it. Talking about side panels, the case. For casing I went with a Frictionlud 804. The main reason for that is because it has 8 available hard drive slots, especially for those HDD ones, so it's a really big one. Always nice for upgradability, since I currently have 3 HDDs in here, which I will be showing you in just a second. For SSD I went with a Crucial P3 Plus. I went with the 500GB one, even though it's just for an operating system. Again, price-wise it was kinda cheap, so 500GB doesn't really matter. And I will also be installing the M.2 cooler on here. And then something unusual for a NAS server, a GPU. This is just some random GPU that I bought off AliExpress from Kinology. It was a $20 GPU, so it doesn't perform the greatest, but I just bought it to see what the output is from my TrueNAS server. It's mostly just to see the IP address. For power supply, I have a Be Quiet power supply rated at 550 watts. A TrueNAS server doesn't need that much power, unlike a normal gaming PC. It's 80 plus gold, so it's a really good power supply. The reason why I wanted this NAS was purely because of this single hard drive right here. This is my external WD hard drive, and this was failing on me. This is a 4TB hard drive, and basically everything on there was not accessible to me. So when I realized that all my data was potentially gone, I was, well, kind of upset about it. But that was when I realized I really needed a NAS server, because storing just everything on one device, it's a single point failure. So if this one breaks, my data's gone. That's why I have 3 hard drives in here, also 4TB ones, configured in such a way that it doesn't use up every hard drive, so again one can fail in here and everything will be fine. So I will also be showing you the hard drives now, because I've done something weird with the hard drive that not a lot of people do. If I unscrew all of these screws here and slide this out, you may realize that these are 3 different hard drives. My first one is from Seagate. The second one that you can't really see all that well is a Toshiba hard drive. And the third one is again a different Seagate hard drive. Now, why do I have 3 different hard drives while I can just buy 3 of the same? Well, I've done that with a reason actually. The main reason is, if I buy 3 of the same hard drives, what can happen is that I have a bad batch and all 3 of them will be bad. And I don't want to have that. So if one of these turns out to be a bad batch, the other 2 will not have the same problem. And yes, I have checked all of the 3 hard drives that are in here currently are rated for the same things, have the same specs. They did cost 3 different prices though, but again, it's worth it if only one of them fails and the other 2 survive for much longer. And that's the only reason why I have 3 different hard drives in here for storage. I'll first start by removing my SSD from the motherboard. I have 4 screws in here, which will come handy later. So first of all, we need to peel off this protective layer. After peeling this off, I will be aligning this with the thermal pad in here. Now, this doesn't need to be perfect since it's thermal pad and not thermal paste, but I still need to be careful to not damage the thermal pad. If I damage the thermal pad in any way, the heat will not get dispersed evenly, which is a problem. By just aligning it up really carefully, making sure that it aligns really tightly. And now the same with the top. I'll just peel the protective layer off and I'll align it really carefully. And then just, there we go. It's aligned perfectly now. And now we need those 4 screws to hold them in. Now I can do this one, but it's actually best to do this one now, because it's quite the opposite of this one. This should be good enough to put in the computer already, but I'll just do the other 2 ones just to be sure. There you go, it's all screwed in. All we have to do now is just install it again. Alright, I couldn't get them in. Not the first time though. So I will just lay it on the side since gravity was really screwing me over in this one. So all I gotta do now is just push this in. And then push it down a little bit and then just... There we go. And all we need to do now is just put the side panel back on and we're done. Done! Now that I'm done with this build, I will be going to my computer to show you what the true capabilities of TrueNAS actually are. Now that I'm back at my PC, I will show you what I use my NAS for on a daily basis. So as you can see under network locations is my NAS. I've added this by clicking on the 3 dots and adding map network drive. I have assigned letter P to my NAS on this computer just because my name starts with P. And opening this shows everything that is inside my NAS. There's not a lot of things in here, just a couple of files, some educational stuff like a Git cheat sheet, and this unnamed weird JPEG is just like the HTML code, so when I'm coding I know what code that I have to use. I also have a JellyFin folder, but I will come back to that in just a second because it's a little bit weird how I've set it up. So we can see the local IP address in the bar, and when navigating to that it will just show the TrueNAS interface. Currently I'm not logged in, but I'll just log in to show you around everything a little bit. When logging in it just looks like this. It's just a simple dashboard with everything showing up, how many memory that I have left. I have 0 CPU usage because it's not really utilizing anything. I see my CPU model, I see my storage, I see the local IP address. I can see there are updates available, and apparently there are. As you can see there's a new version available. Then I can go to storage and see everything about how much capacity I still have left. As you can see I've already used 2% of my total capacity, which is around 8 terabytes. I can see all my hard drives that are in here. As you can see I have 3 hard drives, around 4 terabytes. And I can see here if they're also online, if there are any errors on here. They're all brand new, but you never know because a bad batch will come through like really quickly. So seeing everything here is just really nice. All the other things I don't really need to show except for the apps, because again I'm running things like JellyFin and all other crazy stuff, so I'm not running it on my NAS. Which is weird because I've told you that I'm running JellyFin, but there are no apps on here. Well, as you can see, JellyFin is clearly here, but I'm not running it, so what's going on then? Well, I've set it up really weirdly, but I'll explain it. If I want to go to my JellyFin, I'll just go to this IP address and I will be going to my JellyFin. But as you can see, this IP address is different from this IP address. And that's mainly because when I set it up JellyFin on my main home server, I was running all my movies and series from a simple 1 terabyte hard drive, which was not enough at all, because it was also storing other things like my home dashboard, home assistant, my Nink server for my domains and everything. And so what I truly wanted my NAS for was just pure storage. So I'm still running all my apps on my main server instead of my NAS server. So if I go to my file explorer that I installed for more of a simply GUI look instead of doing it with commands, which I'm not scared of, but it's just easier this way. I've basically linked, like I've done with my NAS to this PC, my NAS to my home server through network share. So if I go to mount, files, data, I see basically everything that I saw on this PC. If I go back to here, it's basically the same, but instead of on my PC, on my home server, which was way more complicated than it should have been. And yes, while I could have just installed JellyFin on my NAS server instead of keeping it on my home server, why should I? It already worked. Yes, I made it more difficult, but I have also learned something from it, so I'm not gonna change it again. Building this whole NAS has taught me a lot, not only about the hardware side of things, but also software, of course. I'm really happy to have this NAS because my first external hard drive was dying on me and I needed a way to have everything backed up and even have some fail-safe proof if one drive dies, that's like this one, that I can still recover all my files from. And that's mainly the reason why I got this, like I said in the beginning. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to thumbs up this video. If you want to see more of me, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on the notifications while you're at it so you don't miss any videos of me. And if you want, you can leave a comment about what you want to see next. But anyway, I will see you in the next video.